All right, so our foundational scripture for the leadership training foundational scripture has been Matthew 20:27. It says, those that are going to be chief among you must first be servants. So a lot of times people are looking to be leaders to be, to lord, but not to lead. But the goal of leadership is to lead, not lord. But it's hard for people to do that because everybody want to, their significance is in the title. So they just want to run you, but leaders are servants. So every level of leadership is a greater level of service. So I'm a pastor. So each level I've grown in leadership, I've just served at a greater level. Jesus washed the disciples' feet. So he was the key leader, but still he served. So, when we teach you or we have training class and stuff like that, we're serving you what God wants you to get to be what you need to be. And then the other scripture we used was Exodus 18, 25, somewhere around there. I think it's 25. But it's when Moses, is 25? Thank you. It's when Moses selected able men because his uncle told him, he said, man, you can't. Like Moses was out like trying to help everybody, solve everybody's problems. So you got 1.5 million people. So Jethro was like, Moses, what are you doing? Like, you got to have family time. You got to have you time. He says, but they're dealing with stuff, man. I don't like to see them confused or hurting. So I just want to help. I want to help solve their problem. He said, man, you can't do this, man. Eventually you won't be able to solve nobody's problems, not even your own. He says, so what you do is set some people that are, some hundreds, some 50s. He says, some things that are simple, somebody might just need prayer. They can take care of that. Somebody else may have another challenge. They can take care of that. He says, but the hard cases you'll deal with. So leadership, it's a growing process, but it's everybody involved in leadership, not just the people that looks like they're identified as the leaders. In this particular case, the pastors. So we talked about all that in the last service. So I'm not going to get into when we talked about 9:15. What I wanted to talk about is that every once in a while I read literature that has such an impact that I breathe it. So a while ago I taught, we were talking about, I don't know, we were talking about purpose, dreams or something, and I used the book, The Dream Giver. I referenced that book because it was so powerful. So it inspired the teaching. So today's book that's inspiring the teaching is The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. It's a powerful book. I say a lot of this stuff from the book and be forgetting that because I learned it so many years ago. But we're going to talk about it, but of course we got to line it up with the word. So one of the first laws in the book is the law of the lid. So basically the law of the lid is your leadership is like a lid or a ceiling in whatever organization you're in, whether it's church or whatever. And it's very hard to rise above your level of leadership. Now, I learned this in my household. One year, in 1996, I write a vision every year for my house. So when I asked the Lord what the vision was, he said, the vision for this year for your household is discipline. So he said, we're going to start with you. He says, so I like that you study and all that, but I need you to discipline yourself to read the word daily. So I knew at the time, I don't know what that person does now, but at the time the pastor I was under, he told me he read like at least 5 chapters a day. So I was like, well, I'm not trying to do what he does. I'm going to start with 2. But I'm going to do it like working out, like lifting weights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 chapters, and every 3 months, I'm going to add a chapter. And I think I ended up reading like 16 or so chapters a day in that period. But I was starting discipline. So I got up 2 hours before I went anywhere. We had a basketball practice at 6 a.m. on Saturday. I got up at 4. Wherever, no matter what, every day I got up 2 hours before I went anywhere to prepare and time to work. But I noticed something. When I got up at those 2 hours, I noticed an hour after I got up, I heard pages turning in the bedroom. My wife was up. Now, before then, I was just like, so y'all gonna read the word around here? Like, we just gonna go by what I know about the Bible. Then I noticed a half hour after that, my son was up. Pages was turning, he was reading. I was like, I said, we got something here, everybody reading. So some time went by, I told you to start reading 16 chapters. So you know how sometimes you can get tempted to rest with success. So I was like, I've been reading like 16 chapters a day. So I deserve a break. So I'm just going to take a break. I'm not getting up 2 hours. I'm going to get up an hour. But when I got up an hour before, wasn't nobody else up. I was like, what's wrong with these people? Why aren't they getting up? They need to get up, get in the word. And so the Lord said, well, they can't rise above their level of leadership. He said the capacity that you needed to be what I need you to be is 2 hours. But your wife only needed an hour and your son only needed a half hour. You lowered the bar. So, see, when you was up 2 hours, she was up an hour, he was up a half hour. You up 1 hour, they ain't up at all. He said, so don't lower the bar. You don't have to worry about them lowering their level of diligence and discipline. The scripture says in Isaiah 9:16, it said the leaders caused them to err. The leaders caused them to err. See, because the leaders led them in I'll give you an example here. Let's go to Matthew 15. I mean, you've heard this. You probably played around with people, pick with people, quote it. You probably used it to judge and to criticize, but now you can have the scripture to go to it to justify the lenses you're looking through. But Matthew 15, verse 14, it says, Jesus said, let them alone. It says, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both have fallen into a ditch. See, so if I'm as a leader, if I open myself up to, I can't do everything everybody does, but let's say if I just open myself up to compromise. So just to show people, see, I'm no different than you. You flesh and blood, I'm flesh and blood. So I'm gonna, I'm smoking, drinking, doing all types of stuff. Well, it's gonna blind me. So now you have the blind leading the blind. See, so I can't afford any level over myself of any level of corruption. But let's say I'm a father too. So before I even became a pastor, I was a father. So let's say as a father, I open myself up to anything that could blind me. Guess what? I'm the blind leading the blind. So I'm casting vision in my house, but trust me, we don't know where we're going because the vision is skewed by what I've exposed myself to. You see what I'm saying? So people can't rise above their level of leadership. That's the law of the lid, right? Let's see. We'll skip through that. If you have a few examples in the Bible, you had Dathan in the Bible. Dathan came against Moses. So you hear the story. You probably saw the movie. Moses is up in the mountain, but Moses is up in the mountain for a long time. So they's like, Moses ain't coming back. So they went to Aaron. It's like, Aaron, make us a god. Think about what they just said. So Aaron felt the peer pressure. He said, give me all your jewelry. He created the golden calf. And right after he made it, he said, this is the God that brought us out of Israel. Which sounds retarded because you just made it. So how's it the God that brought you out of Israel? You made it. But anyway, Dathan and them, when Moses came down, God is telling Moses, hey, your people down there tripping. So when Moses came down, they were partying. They was, worshiping gods, cutting themselves. They was doing all types of stuff. So Moses comes down with the commandments, the tablets. Moses gets upset. The scripture says, be angry and sin not. Well, he got angry and sinned. He threw the tablets. He's like, these people crazy. He threw the tablets. And so Moses' thing was this. Moses like, okay. And, you had Dathan and them saying, man, Moses ain't nobody. It's because Moses was calling all the people out. Dathan and them were like, man, I ain't going to him. Calling what? Who is he? Now, you tell Moses, come to me. So Moses said, tell you what, those that be with Dathan and the Korites and all of them, y'all stand with them. Those that be with God, y'all stand with me. So the people that decided, I just was tripping that day, I'm going back with God. When with God, those was like, we with Dathan. We rolling with Dathan. What? Throwing up signs. Rolling with Dathan. All right, so Moses is like, all right, so y'all sure? So he took the tablets and threw them and, and split the ground, and they all fell down on the ground. See, their leadership was Dathan. They died with Dathan, all of them. You see, when Pharaoh and his army came to chase Moses and them to that Red Sea, Pharaoh and all the army drowned. See, so it wasn't just Pharaoh, it was those that was following him. Now, the other people could have been like, you can go chase them people you want. After these 10 plagues, I'm staying here. Go ahead, you can go after them, but we'll be back here. No, 10 plagues was enough for us. Matter of fact, we're trying to figure out how to get saved. No, they decided to follow him after all those plagues into death. So you can't rise above your level of leadership. So you want to, birds of a feather flock together, but they also fly to the same destination. So you know how you stay in league is what they call it, or you stay connected to people because you always been connected to them. Because you grew up together or something. And they're making different choices. See, again, when you grow up, you can't do nothing. You ain't got no car, you ain't got no money. So y'all stuck with each other. So y'all navigating through the same stuff because that's all you know. But as you grow, different people have, resources, vehicles, so they can actually live out what's in their heart. So you have to realize you start out, like look at it as a tree stump. You start out all in the same stump. But as you grow, you branch out. But some people don't want to branch out, right? They want to stay connected, but stay connected to people that's going where you're going. But sometimes we don't think like that. We go, they cool. They might be cool, but I use me. My friends were cool, but to be what I needed to be, I couldn't stay in proximity with them. But guess what? When I decided to climb out of the quicksand and climb the mountain, they followed me out. Some of them followed me out. Some of them still in the quicksand, but they followed me out. But suppose I didn't climb out. Suppose I was proving to them, no, we still cool. We all would have been sunk in that quicksand. I decided to live for God, which wasn't cool in Newark, New Jersey. And I remember some of those guys, I remember when they came to me, they said, well, I'm living for the Lord now. See, but suppose I didn't make that move. Suppose I hid God. We was talking about that, remember a while ago. Suppose I just hid God. Well, I just want to talk about God. This might be uncomfortable for people. So I hid God, so I'm going to heaven on a sneak. I'm going to heaven on a sneak, like, what? I'm going to heaven, but what about my friends? They don't get to go to heaven? You're like, and then when the chariot come by, my friend's like, man, that chariot coming by, man, I should have did right, man. Man, we all going to hell. Hey, but we gonna do our thing, right? And then they see you like moving towards the chariot, like, where you going? Oh, I accepted Jesus a long time ago. I ain't tell you. My bad, dog. Sorry, I ain't going to hell. I'm getting on the chariot. You see what I'm saying? But come on, y'all. Let your light so shine. So again, birds of a feather flock together, but do what? They also fly to the same destination. So if you're gonna get in that flock, make sure you want to fly to where they're going. All right. So this brings us to the next law, which is the law of influence. The law of influence. Law of influence is, basically leadership is simply influencing people. Let's go to 2 Samuel 23. 2 Samuel 23. Because, and the thing is, we talk about a lot of this stuff because I know we have people here that want to be leaders, and some people like the shine of it. You have people that want to be pastors, and some people like the coming to the pulpit preaching part, but there's more to it than that. It's more to it to being a leader. You see somebody owning a company, so you just want a company, but it's just more to it than that. It's a lot more to it. Like, okay, we'll get to it. I don't want to skip. 23, let's start with verse 14. It says, and David was then in an hold, and basically he was in the cave, and the garrison of the Philistines were then in Bethlehem. So this is when David went through some things with Saul, and he basically was just in a place to cover and protect themselves. And he said in verse 15, it says, and David longed and said, oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. Now, we just said the garrison of the Philistines was in Bethlehem. So David is longing for a drink. He's in a cave. Man, I just had a drink from the sea that's in Bethlehem. But he